I get my braces off next month. Do 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 do. I think I'm gonna vlog it. A year and a half in the making. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It's another blunt spills video, and today we're going to talk about how to deal with anxiety, because it is something I deal with on a daily basis. No matter how much I hate it, I deal with it on a daily basis. So I'm just going to give you guys tips and tricks that I use to help when I'm having anxiety attacks, or I'm feeling overwhelmed and I'm feeling like my anxiety is getting out of hand. And it's just things to help keep me sane and keep my mental health in a place where I like it, so I don't go too far over the edge with my anxiety. So let's get into numero uno. So the first way I deal with my anxiety, it's not always my go-to, but it helps a lot. And that way is, if you have a friend or a trusted guardian or an adult, call that person. Well, text them first to make sure you can call them if you know you're not that close with them, or like y'all not on that type of friendship level or whatever, and just talk to them. If there's somebody that knows you deal with anxiety, call them, talk to them about what's triggering you. And if you don't know what's triggering you, because I know a lot of times your anxiety can be triggered, but you're not sure by what. You're not consciously sure by what. So it's kind of hard to figure out. Just have them talk to you, just kind of get your mind off of it. Make your brain focus on something else instead of what's triggering you, even if you don't know what the specific thing is. Having your brain focused on something else, that person's voice, the topic they're speaking about, it'll help calm your brain down and pull you back from the edge. And I find that is very simple, because it's like, even if you don't personally want to talk, having that person talking and just having that noise is something to focus on at that moment truly helps with anxiety. So my go-to are always my best friends. Like, if one's not there, the other one's there. And if I can't call, I'll text them, because typing will usually, give my mind something to focus on, so I can kind of like come off of this edge of like fear, panic, and anxiousness that I always get sometimes. So yeah, so that's step numero uno. And you can talk to them. Hopefully you have a good friend or guardian or an adult or somebody you trust in general that you can talk to for as long as you need to, until you feel like you're in an okay place. Because once they get your mind, like, they distract you a bit, you don't want to quickly hang up or like end a conversation, because that you could easily go back into that like bad place. So just talk for a while. Just make sure you're all you're all the way, like, I don't want to say calm, but less anxious for the most part, where you're not going to do anything that could possibly hurt you, yourself, a family member. You yourself, that's the same thing. Anyways, yourself, a family member, anything like that. So, you just give yourself that time to just, so talk as long as you need to. Okay? And then my next point, or my second point, is I know that everybody doesn't have someone that they can trust with their anxiety. Some people might not even like realize they have anxiety, because sometimes it's not talked about a lot for kids, or people just like, oh, you're just nervous, it's nothing but nerves, you'll get over it. So I know it's not a conversation a lot of people have, or you don't feel comfortable talking to anyone else about it. So these are things that I do when I don't feel comfortable going to someone, because I'm feeling so overwhelmed that I feel like I don't want to put that on anyone else, or I don't feel comfortable putting that on anyone else, because I know there's a lot of people who like to deal with things on their own, and they just like to keep it to themselves. So now we're going to get into numero dos. What do I do when I'm trying to deal with my anxiety on my own? I'm trying to pull myself back from that edge. So the main thing that I do is try and sit down, because you're getting your body to like relax. You're taking some stress off of your legs. You can relax in a chair. If not in a chair, in a bed if you're comfortable. Just somewhere where you can relax your body. And then usually try and find a blank wall, a blank phone screen, computer screen. You could stare at an object While you're staring at the object, you just count to 10. As you're breathing in, you just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 10. And while that's going on, you're breathing in and you're just focusing on counting and nothing else. That's what you're trying to get your brain to focus on, the counting. So you count to 10 while you're breathing in, and while you're breathing out, you're going to count down from 10, and you're just going to keep that process going. The only thing you're focusing on is the numbers that you're counting. Going up to 10, counting down from 10, and you're just focusing on that until, as long as you need to, until your body feels a little more relaxed, until the pressure is off your chest. Because I know when I face anxiety attack, a lot of the pressure is usually in my chest. That's where a lot of the weight feels like it's there. So I'll just keep doing that till that like tension is released within me. So that's something I also do, and that's how I go about it. And then once I feel like my body's at an okay place where I don't feel like my entire body's like, filled with like bundles of nerves, I'll usually take time to write things down. And the reason it's so important to write things down is because you're getting those feelings out there. Because a lot of the times, especially with me, I sometimes don't know what's triggering me. Because my anxiety, because sometimes to me it feels like it's so random, like it just came out of nowhere, and I'm like, oh crap, like why is this happening? And I just can't figure it out. Even when I'm talking to my friends and they're like, okay, well, let's go through the steps. What happened to make you feel like this? What were you doing before anything happened? And in my head I'll be like, no, these are just normal things that I do all the time, and I don't understand why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. And that's okay. We're not going to always know what's wrong. We're not going to always know what's triggering us. We're going to learn as we get older. We're going to learn as, we learn ourselves and our body and our process and how our brain works. That is a-okay to not always know what's triggering you. I don't know what's always triggering me, but I know I can't keep my feelings inside. So since I don't know what's triggering me, what I will write about is how I'm feeling in that moment, whether it's physically or emotionally or mentally, because those, separate things. So like, let's say if physically, after I'm done and I've relaxed my body, and I'll write down in my journal, physically I felt like my chest was tightening, like my hands were sweaty, or my armpits were sweaty, or it just felt like, I don't know how to explain this properly, because I know how to write it down, but like explain it in words. So like sometimes it feels like I have like, when you touch something and you shock yourself, it's kind of like those feelings throughout my body. So I'll write that in a journal. I'm like, this is what I felt today physically. And if I'm like, okay, emotionally I don't know what I'm feeling, I'll write that down. I'm like, emotionally I don't know where I am. I'm kind of all over the place. I don't know if I'm upset. I don't know if I'm sad. I don't know if I'm angry. I don't know if I'm just excited about something, scared about something. If I don't know, I'll simply write, I don't know. And if you want to say, how does the feeling of I don't know make you feel? You can go about it that way. Or mentally, you're like, I'm having these type of thoughts. Hopefully it's not anything, too dangerous or outrageous, because if it is, please reach out to someone. There are lines to help people. If you're in a bad place mentally, talk to someone, because I promise you, the world will miss you if you ever do anything to yourself. So if you're in a mental place like that, please find someone to talk to. A professional. I advise a professional because they can actually help. Or it's a trusted adult, someone you feel comfortable going to, who you feel like, you can talk to without any judgment or things like that. So yes, writing is so important. And all these ways are also important, but it's also important to know what type of anxiety you have as an individual, because that usually helps you figure out what's triggering it or what could lead to triggering it. So my anxiety, for the most part, is usually social anxiety, meaning when I'm in large crowds or a new place or just in an area with people I don't know, whether it's 2 people or 10 people, that kind of triggers my anxiety when I'm in an environment that I'm not familiar with. So going to, like, I'm in college and it's a big campus, so when I want to go out to eat but I don't want to because I'm alone, and it just like, I never know what's going to happen, and my mind just goes to racing, or I feel like I'm being judged 24/7 despite that I'm doing nothing. I could just be standing in line. I'm like, okay, they're judging me for my clothes, my hair, my something. Like, that's kind of where I am with my social anxiety. And the other anxiety I have, I don't know if there's a specific name for it, but I'm somebody, I stress about my future 24/7. And I stress about it in the aspect of how it affects me and my family. So that could also be social anxiety, I guess, because it's the societal pressures I'm going through and things like that. So knowing what type of anxiety you have and where they usually stem from kind of helps you with learning how to cope. So for some people, talking helps with coping. I don't really like to talk, so I'd rather write it all down. So that's why I advise, if you don't like to talk, write it down. You need to do something to help you with your coping, because leaving emotions unspoken, whether it's to a person or on a piece of paper that no one will ever read, knowing you put it out there helps to relieve some tension. In my experience, I'm not a professional. I'm just somebody who's been dealing with this for a while. And by say a while, I mean like literal middle school, like 6th grade, middle school is when I kind of like everything kind of started for me. So that is my biggest thing. Just make sure you're not bundling all of this up, because when you bundle that up, that puts so much stress on your body, because your mental health, your emotional health affects your physical. It can take a toll on you. So just make sure you're doing what you can. And my biggest thing with anxiety is just, getting your brain distracted for the moment so you can calm yourself down from that edge that you are at. That edge that makes your body feel like you have no control over it. That is the most important thing in my opinion when dealing with anxiety, is just getting yourself to calm down from that initial panic, that initial worry, that initial anxiousness. Because I know sometimes it can feel like it's on 1,000, level 1,000, like you can't even control it. You don't even know how it got to that point, because you were fine one second and then the next second you were just like, whoa. And there are plenty of videos on YouTube where people will literally talk they literally created videos where they will sit in the camera and talk to you while you're going through an anxiety attack, so you can calm down. They'll literally talk so that your brain is distracted while you're watching their video. Also, something that helps with anxiety is going outside. I'm not an outside person. I don't care for nature. There's too many bugs. But going outside and being exposed to natural light and fresh air is so good for the body. It's like a reset button for your body. It may not always work, but it does relieve, in my opinion, for myself. It does relieve some of the anxiousness from me, because it just gives me a breather, a reset, because I'm in a different setting, a different environment. I can take a pause from wherever I was and whatever was triggering me, because now I'm in a new situation, in a new setting. But the thing with anxiety and any mental, health issues or anything people might be going through is that it's unique for each and every person. So these tips may or may not help you. And if they help you, I'm very glad. I'm very thankful. And if they don't, I promise you will find your way to cope. Just go through the different methods. There are a million methods online that will help you, deal with your anxiety. I promise you guys that. One way I deal with it, besides all these other things, is I get productive. Because when I feel productive, and whether it's in school or my writing, if you guys don't know, I want to be an author one day, like novels, like fiction novels and things like that, or nonfiction too. I write because I'm planning stuff out. I'm like, okay, if I don't want to type today, I'll write out what the next part of my story is going to be within my book. Doing something productive makes you feel like you're in control, which helps to control your anxiety. It's kind of like a chain reaction, because a lot of times with anxiety, it's usually about not having control, whether it's social or not, because in the social settings, you feel like you have no control because you don't know how these people are going to judge you, which is sometimes triggering. And I feel like with me, that's what my anxiety is usually about, feeling like I'm not in control. So when I'm working on school, or I'm working on my book, or I decide I want to draw because I want to practice my skills a little more, that's giving me the ability to feel like, okay, I have control over something. Let me focus on what I have control on, instead of what I don't have control on. And I know these things are easier said than done, because there are days these methods just don't work for me, and I feel like this is I'm like, okay, none of my methods are working. Like, what am I doing? And I'm frazzled, I'm fizzed out, and I just don't know what to do, because there will be those days. And all I have to say is, no matter how rough the days get, just remind yourself you've gone through them. You've been through them, and you've made it this far, and you're gonna make it through this rough day. Because lately, I'm supposed to start nursing school. I'm supposed to start applying to nursing school soon. And so that's giving me anxiety, because I'm like, what if I don't get into any schools? And that's just been a big thing that's been on my mind. I'm 20. I'm officially been alive for 2 decades. I'm going to be 21 soon. and you just want to feel like you're contributing to society. You feel like you want to do something, even if you're somebody you're younger than me, even if you're like 16, 14, 13, 10 years old, and you feel like everyone else around you has their things together, and you're like frazzled trying to figure things out. I promise you, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. No one has their stuff together. Not a single person in this world has everything 100% together. Not a single one. I don't have everything all the way together. My cousins who are older than me don't have everything together. My mom doesn't have everything together. We all are missing something that we need to get together. No one in life has everything all the way planned out, all the way 100%. And if someone says they do, I promise you life will knock them on their butt and be like, you thought? Life has its own plan. Sometimes it works out the way you want it to, sometimes it doesn't. And it sucks, especially when you have anxiety, because it's like your whole thing is, I need to feel in control. And life is like, no, you will never be in control. And it just sucks because you have to go through your whole life dealing with this. But it is what it is. We know, if you know you have it, you have to learn coping mechanisms so that you can get better. If you don't know that you have it, I suggest talking to a family friend, going to a physician, figuring things out, seeing where you are mentally, and just taking care of yourself. That is the biggest thing, taking care of yourself. Because anxiety can take such a toll on the body. And the reason I'm only talking about anxiety, because that's something I deal with personally. I don't want to speak on any other thing because I don't deal with them. So I don't feel like it's my place. But with any mental health concerns, anything of that nature, it's always important to talk to a doctor, a physician. And if you don't feel like that comfortable going that far yet, maybe talking to a family friend who can help you get to that step. It's all about taking care of your mental health. All about it. So that's all I have to say. Do I have anything else to tell you guys? Oh, if you guys need anything, my social media is always open to chit chat, talk. If you feel like you're going through an anxiety attack and you feel like you can't talk to anyone else in your life, I'll be that stranger that'll listen to you. I'll be the listening ear. I'll let you just talk your heart out while I sit there and say nothing if that's what you want. If you want me to reply with a yes and no to some of your questions, I'll do that for you. So my direct messages are always open on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, anything, even on YouTube. You can comment on here and be like, hey, can you message me at whatever? And I'll be like, yes, I got you. Just please make sure you are taking care of your mental health. Please, because it's so important, because your mental health ultimately affects everything around you, including your physical health. It is so important. Being healthy does not just simply mean being physically healthy. You also have to be mentally healthy, because they go hand in hand with each other. So with that being said, your feelings are valid. Don't second guess them. There's nothing wrong with you for having these thoughts or feelings. You're a human being. Humans are complex organisms. Sometimes our brain functions how it's supposed to. Other times it doesn't. Everyone goes through a time period in their life where they just, not sure of themselves, or they don't know what's wrong with them because they're having these certain feelings or not. But you are a valid person. Your feelings are valid. There's nothing wrong with you because you have anxiety. I don't think anything's wrong with me. I think it's perfectly human that I feel the way I feel. I think you're perfectly human. And you're a beautiful human indeed. So all I just want to say is I don't want to say don't stress it, because it's kind of hard, easier said than done. Just simply try. That's all I can say, because that's all I'm doing. I'm trying. As long as you're putting in an effort, then you're making some type of progress. Some type of progress is better than no progress. Even if it's like the teeniest, tiniest bit of step, it's better than nothing. So I hope anyone who's dealing with anxiety, depression, bipolarness, schizophrenia, anything in between, I hope you're getting help. If you're not getting help, I pray that you get help. We can maybe find some professionals, someone to talk to you. I know those things are expensive. Maybe we can find a free clinic or people who are doing pro bono work to help people out, because medical stuff is expensive. So if you need help looking up that stuff, feel free to message me. I'll help you look it up. We'll find something so you can get help if you need it. If you are having any kind of triggering thoughts about harming yourself or harming others, please make sure you're reaching out to a professional. Reach out to different hotlines. I'll try and link some down in the description below so you guys can, make sure you're getting the help that you need. So with that being said, this was a very serious video. We'll be back to the funny stuff next week, unless you guys want me to discuss another topic like this. I will see you guys in the next video. I love you guys. I want y'all to stay healthy. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know down in the comment section below what you want to see from me next. And I just wish you all good health. And I love y'all, and I'm always here for y'all. So please feel free to message me if you ever need it.